Hey, my name is Bboy Tranquil and welcome to Tranquil TV. This channel is dedicated to breaking and hip-hop knowledge. I'm so glad to be back, and it's been a while, but I'm really happy to be giving you the episode today. The person I want to talk to you about in this inspiration series today is going to be somebody who has influenced me my whole, from very young, like pretty much the length of my breaking life. He's one of the most important people in the breaking scene, I would say, in the UK. In the period I've been in breaking, I would say he's the most, or one of the most important people for the scene in general, and I don't think he gets that respect sometimes, and people don't recognise that, but that's part of why I'm doing this inspiration series today, to shed light on him and the amazing things he's done, and the amazing things he's done for me directly and indirectly. So the person I'm going to be talking to you about today is none other than Shane, also known as Bboy Tenton from Leeds. An amazing guy. He's one of the older generations of B-Boy, so if you don't know who he is, he's one of the old school guys from Leeds, but his breaking was always on point. So Shane has done so much for the scene and for me from a very young age. He was indirectly, he was like a mentor in some senses. I used to watch him and the way he operated and did things, and from being very young he organised lots of events. That's one of the greatest things about him, that he put on a lot of events and was bothered really about the community. And that's what hip hop is about, and I really learned a lot about hip hop from Shane, I would say. Dylan obviously learned the breaking, and I have some family members too who taught me about different hip hop music and things like that. But Shane as a movement and as a culture, Shane really showed me what hip hop is about, and it's about this community, and having the respect and looking after the community, not just being a selfish kind of dancer only bothered about yourself. So he was always involved with other people as well, in the hip hop community, DJs and things like that, and other MCs and stuff like that. So going to these events and seeing the ones he ran, I've seen him from the smallest scale of when they just started in the town centre, with just a little ghetto blaster, to what they have become, which when Shane was running these events, at the height of these events was the Fresh Drive events, and they were mind-blowing. They were just fantastic. Like, that time was like a golden era for Leeds, and that's all down to Shane. And through that time in Leeds, it affected the whole of the UK, in the sense of that the events and the people he brought over really influenced the way that some of the UK b-boys dance now, even today. And because he set up so other b-boys could battle those foreign b-boys from Europe, and even sometimes from the States as well, that really pushed the UK forward and pushed the level high. I've heard people saying that UK was dead, and has been dead, at different points, but for me personally, I know that Shane kept the fire alive, through Fresh Jive, and he also worked with T-Breaks as well. They both put that on together, and I'll show you some photo of him later on as well. But those two, running them events, it was straight fire all the time. They kept it alive in the north, and I'm really thankful to Shane for that, because without that, I would have had a completely different breaking life. My journey wouldn't be anything like it has been, and I'd have had a different story to tell you. This is important because this is the history of hip hop in England. This is one of the biggest deals, I would have said, in England, and Shane is not running them the events at the minute. He still has the odd one here and there, but I want to talk to you about the time when he was running a lot, and how that's influenced me today, and how I feel confident to run events too, and I've run them in Bradford as well. So what I want to show you now is some of these posters I have, and these are so important to me. I had to keep them. When I used to go to Fresh Drive events, what I would do is I just find the massivest poster, just drag it off the wall, roll it up, put it in my bag. Do you know what I mean? My room was covered with Fresh Drive posters. It was so important to me when I was younger. This was the thing that I dreamt of going to. I couldn't wait to go to. This was the thing in my life I was passionate about, to go and show off my skills and things like that. So I had all these. I took them all down because obviously I'm with Fox now, and I'm married, and you can't be having b-boy posters all up in your room like that now. So I mean, I ended up taking them all down, and I put them under the bed, and I couldn't in my heart throw them away because they mean so much to me, and I've got memories about and things like that. So not all of them have the dates on, so it's hard for me to remember exactly when things are. Like obviously this one does, but I have a story about each one of these posters in the sense of that I have these memories, and I can remember how I felt when I was there and how I was influenced and how it changed my breaking at that point. This one was a massive one where the Koreans came over, and that blew my mind to see breakers of that level. And just from going to that event, I didn't need to travel the world to do that. Shane, through his organisation, and with T-Rex and things, brought the Koreans to just the city right next to mine. And for so many who went to this event, that will have changed their breaking life as well. So he also ran the breaking qualifiers for bigger events. I think he had a UK b-boy qualifier once. There was qualifiers all the time for different ones. So he was really making sure that we always had something to work towards and strive towards. And that really pushed all the Bradford b-boys, me in particular, so much. He's bringing absolutely next level MCs over, so you could get inspired by the music as well. I think this was just one of the general ones at the elbow rooms. All the elbow rooms ones were so hype, so much energy to them. If you were there, it was just like burning fire. Everyone was excited, and when they were at the height, it was just super intense, super exciting. Loads of b-boys there from all over the UK would come to this event. This was part of Speak to the Streets actually, which is what Shane is doing now. He's not running the Fresh Jives at the minute. He's doing Speak to the Streets, which is about community work with, and it's against like knife crime and just general, trying to keep young people in a positive lifestyle through hip hop. So that's what Shane's doing at the moment, and it's really important, and it's going really well. He takes that Speak to the Streets movement around the UK to different events. Shane really put a highlight on the b-boys of the UK, and gave them a platform to be become somebody, become someone respected. So he invite obviously a lot of people from Europe, but he'd also invite other UK b-boys, like Robbie at this time to judge and things like that from Newcastle. So when you're bringing people over and giving them that highlight, that stage, this really fueled the scene and was so important. I don't think people realise how important that time was. That's why I really want to talk to you about it. One of the biggest ways that my story, my life as a b-boy changed is through this poster here. And I didn't really understand at that time. There was a Flavor Squad came over, and when I went to this, I actually went to a workshop with El Nino and Lean Rock, DJ Lean Rock. It was actually called Little Lean back then, and I went to a workshop there. I enjoyed the workshop, and it was great to meet them, but I didn't think that was going to be such an important time, in the sense of, if you know me well, I became a member of Flavor Squad years later on, and travelled to America like 6-7 times. That became a massive change in my life, and if they hadn't have come over, basically, Shane hadn't brought the Americans over and they hadn't come and visited for this event, I wouldn't have had that contact with them, and it wouldn't have led to what the journey I've had. It would have been a different story. I would have gone different places, had different experiences. So I want to say thank you, Shane, for bringing them over. And obviously El Nino came again, and he came back, and this is '06, and this here, I'm not sure of the year, but me and El Nino then a few years later ended together, as part of the 4 and 4 as Flavor Squad worldwide, and we ended up winning the whole event as well. So it was crazy to me to have this poster in my room of these amazing Americans coming over, and then a few years later I'm part of that crew, and so was Shane later on. He became part of Flavor Squad, and I'm traveling to America, I'm getting whole new experiences, and obviously this indirectly, but Shane, by putting that event on, influenced my breaking life, and I want to say thank you, Shane, for that, because it meant a lot to me, and the journey I've had, I wouldn't change it for the world. I've loved my journey as a b-boy, and it's been exciting and been crazy. A lot of b-boys think the only way to influence another b-boy or b-girl is just through breaking only. But that's not really hip hop, you know. And Shane showed me that you know, events and how important they are. And I think that you can have a lot of influences on other breakers just by, you know, being involved in the culture and doing other things to a good standard, you know. And Shane did the breaking events to an amazing standard, and that really affected me more than his actual breaking did, or more than his level did. He was always a dope b-boy, but you know, I was inspired by him running them events, being organised. You know, I could see him, you know, doing well. That just inspired me to think, you know, I could do something like that. I want to do something like that. So I just wanted to really say thank you to Shane. I wanted to say how much of an inspiration he was to me. I wanted to also, you know, shed light on the things he's done, and, you know, to the other b-boys in the UK and b-girls, you know, highlight how important that time was. And, you know, whether you were there or not, you know, somebody else would have been there, you know, who taught you possibly, or, you know, experienced that, and that would have inspired them to, you know, carry on breaking. And, you know, in my sense, having those events there really drove me and kept that fire there to want to practice and to train, also to teach others people breaking, you know, and get my crew solid and go off and battle at these events. I just want to say thank you so much for those events. You know, I have so much respect for you in that way, and I'm just thankful for those times and those memories that I have, you know, of Fresh Jive. It was just amazing, like just the most hypest times ever, some of them. And you know, I'm sure I'm not the only one when I say this, you know, and I'm talking about you in this way. You know, I'm sure a lot of other people have amazing experiences as well because of the event you put on. If you do have any stories, you know, or you want to give Shane a shout out, please write in the comments below, you know, leave him a message, you know, give him some love. It would be great to hear those stories and you know, reminisce about them times and things like that. If you did enjoy this video, please don't forget to like and subscribe, and I will see you in the next video. Peace.